darkness, melanin. So when we begin to know these things, and we look at what's happening to us in 2014, and we look at where we were in 5,000 years before the Christian era, we have to make some readjustment in our thinking. The ancient Egyptians, the builders of the pyramids, had their philosophies, had their religions, they had their polytheistic ways of looking at the cosmos. There is no one rulership. There's no universal God that everybody in Egypt had to be afraid of. And Egypt was just one country on the whole continent. There is the African people, there was the Mali kingdom, there is a kingdom in the southern part of the continent, there's a central continent. The thing is vast. But the brainwashed book locks us into Egypt, trying to steal Egypt out of Africa and putting Egypt in a place called the Middle East. And to recolor the people and remove their melanin and to make them white. So this bleaching out process has been going on for thousands of years. In 2014, skin bleaching is a problem. But the bleaching has been taking place in the minds of the black people. We have been enlightening ourselves for centuries. And enlightenment is just another form of bleaching in the brethren. Enlightenment is bleaching. So you can enlighten your skin. But if you enlighten your brain and enlighten your thoughts, are you not also bleaching your meditation? So when we look into our story, I was gonna read a few lines from a small pamphlet called Black Egypt and Her Negro Pharaohs by the Reverend Sterling M. Means. Title of the book is Black Egypt and Her Negro Pharaohs. Now, the Western white man knows no such things as a female leader. Because in white man culture, women, females were never considered even close to being able to lead. They were defined as slaves. That was a defined function of the white female. When we explore our own story, book says that in the 18th dynasty, and this is in Africa, Egypt, the 18th dynasty is said to have been the golden age of Egyptian history. This dynasty was founded by an Ethiopian princess called Nefertari. So I want to repeat that, The 18th dynasty, this is in ancient Egypt, is said to have been the golden age of Egyptian history. This dynasty was founded by an Ethiopian princess named Nefertari through her marriage to the Egyptian king Ahmes I. The complexion of the Ethiopian queen was ebon blackness. And she had the most attractive personality and was called the beautiful companion of Ahmes. The complexion of the Ethiopian queen was ebon blackness. Nefertari, Nefertari. She was the most venerated woman in Egyptian history. She was called the wife of the god Amun, an ancestress of the 18th dynasty, which marked the glorious period in Egyptian annals. You see now, we have to recognize that I and I are coming out of a tradition where the female is supreme. And this has been attacked seriously now by the white man. He has attacked the supremacy of the female and has reduced her to fear, living in a state of fear for the loss of her children based upon his brutality. He has murdered and killed her offspring, that she has been driven into a state of frozen fear and overprotective now of her male children. Total reversal. In our tradition, the empress is queen. Pharaoh. The impression we get all the while that pharaohs were always males. But in the tradition of African people, the female is equivalent to the male. It's since we have been brought into this Western plantation that the thing has been reversed and upset. Because we have been indoctrinated now with white man philosophy that woman come out of man's ribs and therefore the man is superior, and all this type of Garden of Eden rubbish that we have been ingested for thousands of years. But like a computer, we can bring it to the surface and delete it.
Teach me, teacher. Teach high and I am a teacher. Teach me, teacher. Teach high and I am African teacher. I never believe. I always early. I never have sense. I always present. That's why I and I not sit down in a number bed. That he like to be bright, bright, bright. So bright, teach me, teacher. Bright, bright, bright. Teach me, teacher. So bright,
Now, during the joint reign of Queen Nefertiti and King Ahmed, Ethiopia and Egypt became allied powers. And these two black nations together drove out the shepherd kings from Egypt, which had ruled the Nile Delta for a long period of time. The aid of this black queen restored Egypt to her former glory. The power of the female pharaoh, the African woman. Remnants in the plantation of North America and Caribbean, rise up, black woman.
not until when we reach up on the side of Africa, wherein I can be teached by African teacher. Oh, teacher, I and I can be teached by African teacher. Teach me, teacher. Teacher, I and I am a teacher. Teach me, teacher. Teacher, I and I am a teacher. Ora, teacher, I am a read. I like to be teach by African
So with the mighty power of the female and African pharaoh, how can in 2014 a black woman sit now into a church that speaks about a divinity and a trinity, and there is no female aspect of that belief? How can a conscious, knowledgeable African black woman, knowing of Nefertari and Hatshepsut and Makeda and Cleopatra and the long royalty of African female leaders, how could you sit with your educated or simple mind and vision a divinity without yourself in it? It's one of the biggest blows to the African people, one of the biggest attacks on the African family system is to have the African woman accepting a divinity, a godhead, without her presence. It is untenable because the African society could not sustain itself without the African queen, without the empress, without the female. So all the women now in the church, particularly in North America, don't have the money and the education. How can you justify that illusion? How can you justify that illusion? How can you be talking about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? And the Father looks like Zimmerman, and the Son looks like Wilson, and you can't see no spirit. Where are you, African woman? So you have a role to play in this liberation. Yeah, to break down this slave system and this oppression that the legal system have I and I locked into. But deeper than that, we have been locked into a moral and a philosophical binding that makes us unable to react positively outside of just making noise. So the ground that is there, where much of the slave thoughts are being fostered, is the religious grounds. Yeah, man, and the Christianity, the Christendom that backs up that capitalistic economic system, and that is reinforced by this political system called democracy. That's what holding them into bondage. Because democracy is also another illusion. It's all created by white people to protect white people. African people must protect themselves. We have to have a financial way of ensuring we own money. So when we say take the money out of the church and farm our own bank, yeah, man, and run things amongst yourself and build economy. But the church depends upon white people for its financing, because they need it more than I.
And if you're ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. Make we do it for Jah. Make we do it for Rastafari. Make we do it for roots and culture. Make we do it. And if
So they say that God helps those who help themselves. Yeah? Most say support that. Some say the Father, some say Jah help those who help themselves. And of course, you know, I'm man who always want to know who help those who cannot help themselves. Who is it that helps those who cannot help themselves? I wondering how is it God don't help those who help themselves when the people them don't help themselves already? Why him choose to help those? Why not help those who cannot help themselves? So I question the nature of this God that the white man has given us. That is the white man God that I speak about. This God of Moses, this God of Jehovah, this God that has been imposed upon I and I since captivity in this Western Hemisphere. So the divide now, this divide that the plantation has set up, the system sets up divides in the religious and in the economic and in the social. Social is along the class lines. Economics is about who have it and don't have it. But the religious divide now is about those who are near to Jesus and those who are far away. And so the struggle is to get near to Jesus and as far away as you can from Satan. And so within the imagination of the African people now, there's this chase going on in the brain. And these forces are set against each other, yet they can't conquer each other. All of this going on in the brain of the black man. And so the mythology and the stories and the fables have us confused and dwelling in fear, thinking that all that is dark is evil and all that is white is right and bright. So the mythology now continues, and we have to be working out how do we arrive at good. Because the people of African descent and the people of African ascent, and we know what good is. We have experienced good. We know what good is. We have good climate. We have good food where we come from. We have good family structure. We have good things. But in this time here now, things seem a bit in a disarray. And in that condition now, we have to find what they call salvation. Now, I man sit out on the seaside road some nice couple evenings. Because there's a nice windy spot out on the seaside road there. And I was there 3 days ago, and two of the witnesses of Jehovah were doing their work, trying to encourage people to come into the kingdom. So this woman stopped and just sit with Iman now and just tell her about the glory of Jehovah's kingdom. Because she's a witness. And she's organizing and preparing herself to go into this nether world. And to, hopefully I will go with her. Because she's trying to save my soul. Well, you know, when I started to explain that my soul and my foot bottom, she looked at me funny because she found it difficult not to talk to me because I wasn't trying to save anything that she thought I had. So we're given this notion now of salvation and that we must save our souls, the African people. This soul now, we are told, goes to a special place after we die. And in that death, we get a release. And in that release now, we'll be free from the oppression that the same white man system applies on us today. So it's in death now the relief come. And it's only at that point now the soul of the African, according to Christendom, can enter into the kingdom. It's a serious mythology. It's a serious allegory. So this woman now, witness, I had to show great respect for her because she was 90 years old. And 90 years old now means that she's been here for 9 decades. And she quickly reminded Iman now that everything in the Bible is literal. That all that I'm talking about is foolishness because there's no such thing called metaphor. And this other word that I use called simile. She said there's no such thing. Everything in there is exactly as it says. So I said, did the serpent talk? She said, yes, it was a snake. She said, everything is literal. And when I really reflect on when she born, she said she born in 1925. And I realized that at that time, she didn't have access to any more information than what everybody else was getting off the plantation. And that her parents were born in the 1830s. And so easily I could see right back in the 1700s. The story that has been impressed into our brains about a beginning and about sin and about a curse. And the story goes on to say that all of this was wiped out and reconstructed. But we, the African people, will become the bearers of the cross. And that we will carry the cross for all of these other races. If we come out of this mythology, we have to lift ourselves out of that illusion and begin to look into the reality. And the reality that I and I have been brought into a system of enslavement, and this enslavement is in the psychological mind, it's in the economics, it's in the law, it's in all the systems that the white man has created. The place that we must search to find our true salvation must be in our African selves, into our original self. It requires identity. And so the black man in America now will have to stop playing games with his identity and just go to the foundation and define himself as black. This African American thing not working is black man time.
I was seduced to reduce my knowledge because I will always break those barriers and burn down bondage. Oh Lord God Almighty, grant me all privilege. You see, I have to overcome all the wicked. Them and them false things. I have no white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppression? I have no white God. It's just a black messiah. A white God that bless, so him not bless. I have no white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppression? I have no white God. It's just a black messiah. trying to shield with fantasy, but we not gonna make you destroy the love with luxury. That's why you have to touch home. I have no place in Babylon. As I go, they make me victim of their unjust action. Oh God, I won't be conquered in this region. Oh yes, I have to stand and go strong. Don't tell me of your white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppress? I am no white God. It's just a black messiah. White God that bless you, him not bless. Oh, me face contact with anger. Cause that no right. Oh, all things good and valuable must be white. So what about the black that did the most in life? You want your white supremacy. Watching me as you change the version of the Bible. Oh, you watch it. Remember, I know do evil won't go unpunished. Bear your iniquity, you have no wisdom or wit. All evilous people shall sink in a I am no white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppression? I have no white
That
God.
is Sizzler.
It's just a black
Just reinforce the knowledge that those who recognize them blackness could never be trying to assimilate a white God into their meditation. And we're putting it as it is, because the Chinese God and the Indian God is there. Not in a contestation with the African. It is the white man that is in the struggle and has imposed his white God philosophy upon an enslaved population. But the remnants will remember, and the remnants is strong, and Rastafari is real. So the teachment now and the book, they have divided us into two main camps, the Christian and the Muslim. And these are the two camps that are currently at war now on the African continent. Wherever you hear about war on the continent, and you look at the forces that have lined up, it's Christians versus Muslims. And in that Christian versus Muslim binary, there is this one white God that still reigns supreme. One white God. The Muslims say you must call that white God Allah. And the Christian white people, Europeans, say you must call that God Jehovah. And they both recognize that one book. Even though they have two Bibles, they both recognize the same story in the Genesis of the Christian Bible. And they recognize men like Moses as lawgivers. So these are the enslavers. These are the philosophical posts that we are chained to. We are chained to Moses. We're chained to Jesus in the philosophy of religion. And in economics, we're chained to capitalism. And in the politics, they chain us to democracy. So all of them things there have to be unleashed and unraveled. The depth of it now is in the psychology, where we are enslaved to this notion of a supreme being, father above, big man up above. And all of this imagery is of a white character. Because there's no such thing as colorless and raceless and transparent. There's no transparent conception of a divinity. Because it's anthropomorphic, it's a creation of the mind of man. So it's going to have this form of man. So Allah has a head and a foot. So does Jehovah. These are constructions of the mind, the thought processes. And they have used Allah, and they have invaded Africa before even Jehovah came. The Muslims and the Arabs invaded the black continent and came in with their concept of God. And that God, there's no God but Allah. And then decades later, here comes the white man with his, there is no God but the Son of God. And both of them preaching up an eye about this one God. But the barbarity continues and the brutality and the enslavement of the race of African people. Yet they have us still singing Amazing Grace. Hey, we are some serious people, you know. But they say now it's time for the awakening. Yeah, time for the awakening and that shake out that fear of hell and damnation and fire, because we're already in it.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
Cliffhanger Restaurant and Lounge presents Off the Cliff starting Friday, November 28th at 11 p.m. with live performance by Raging Fire. Admission ladies, 500, gents, $1,000 with complimentary finger food and rum punch. Available entries, curried goat, country fried chicken, and fish. For more info, call 860-1395 or 869-5931. Off the Cliff every last Friday at Cliffhanger Restaurant and Lounge.
Located at Ross Craig Long Bay, Portland.
It's time to rock. We're gonna be rocking Jamaican radio like it has never been rocked before. 96.1 on your FM, man. Styles FM. Don't you miss it. Saturday morning from 9 o'clock until 1 on the PM. Yours truly, Colin Anthony, the man with all the money on it, takes the way with the music. Yes, Styles trivia, news, features, and much more. We've got it in store. Don't you miss it. Every Saturday morning, live on Styles 96.1, the People Station. We've got a plan. You've got a plan. Colin Anthony.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-priced promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar.
Metamorphosis moving into Afrocentric views and news, and the lines are open now. International numbers, well, you know, local numbers 453-1444. You can give me a call or give me a text. And international numbers 954-338-7973. That's 954-338-7973. International number locally 453-1444. Moving into our new segment here, and the international media really is a mighty force. So is the local media, and so is the whole constitution and institution called media. And on the plantation, that's an institution that is often ignored, but it has a tremendous driving and controlling force over the population, the media. In Jamaica now, for example, the first media house was set up in 1838. In other words, from the moment them claims the emancipation on, and them were Lego black people, them set up a media house. In Jamaica, it's the oldest newspaper. Yeah, set up by some Jews. some brothers, still in Jamaica, people go abroad and call for the paper, and they don't ask for the newspaper, they must call for the name of the paper. And so the importance of a propaganda organ, a medium for promoting your version, your view, very important, and the plantation owners recognized that early. So as much as the slaves were unable to read language properly, they were able to communicate with each other through the media, newspaper. And if you understand that, and you understand why Garvey moved into print train to set up his own newspaper, because he cited the power of the media, power of the newspaper, power of information, the power of misinformation, and the power of disinformation. So in America now, the media is one of those major controlling forces of the society, owned by the very rich men. They carry the line and the ideology of the owners of America, that invisible set of planters and Ku Klux Klan men who own America. So the Washington Post and the New York Times and all of these major publications owned by wealthy white men. And that's where them carry them information and them propaganda and tell the world what them feel like and tell you what to believe. So when the virus broke out in Africa, it was outrage out in Africa. It's in America now, we don't know. It's like Ebola don't reach America yet. Yeah, the media has played down Ebola in places like Dallas and New York and Florida. But it was killing Africa, wiping out the whole of West Africa. In the Jamaica now, our media now is a little, it's not serious. It's not serious, it's not investigative to the extent that it can create a change. It's more sensationalistic and carry all sort of, what you call, mix up talk, and without getting the fullness because certain questions are not asked and so on and so forth. But I describe the importance of media. And that African people now must ask themselves, what is their control over any media house? Where is the control in America of the black media? Is there a black media house in America, or everything come from the letters? The A, B, C, B, S, N, B, C, that whole set of letters. So where's the power and the control? It don't seem to be there. And the media tells us a lot of things that don't go so. And the media tells a lot of things that suits the power class, the power elite. Now, in terms of information about what is and what is not, the press, the American press, the European press, they carry a view, and the view is usually Eurocentric. It's in the benefit of the white people. So when they kill each other and white violence take place, it's not a big deal in the media. They have a nice name. They say they are just ethnically cleansing themselves. That is the language that is used. So language now become an important power. And the media uses words to send across certain type of information. Now, the conflicts that we're having around the world are reported. The conflict in Russia that is causing great problems to the United States and the European Union is a big problem in terms of the balance of power in the Western world. Because the Russians, who the Americans thought had surrendered, have resurrected themselves. And the Russians are now challenging the rest of Europe. And this is no white man and his attitude towards control. The white man is a violent man. And so these people threaten each other now with nuclear arms and nuclear weapons. Yet they all believe in the same ideology of white supremacy. But there is more supreme than supreme. The Russians feel that they are more supreme than the Americans. The Germans felt that they were the most supreme. So within the even white race, there's this contest of who within themselves is the most superior. And they both share much history and culture. When they juxtapose themselves, when they set themselves against I and I, the African people, they unite. They unite in their oppression of African people. The justice of the white man is the same justice that they deal with each other. But when it comes to African people, that concept don't exist. We have to go and pray and hope that some divine force will intervene and show the white man how to live and how to be merciful. That will not happen. The Pope is presently in the Middle East, meeting again with Muslims. And this is the new world boss, Francis. Francis has come to reset white supremacy, to reset the power of the papacy. African people must remember now that it's the papacy was at the front of the enslavement process. The same papacy that pushed out that book called the Bible that I and I embrace as the holy book and the word of God. It's time we re-examine where we are in this point in time and how we get there. Looking at the news even closer now to home, we're looking to the land of pirates and ginners, this island of wood and water. It's a shame what is going on this place, this small island that is perhaps the size of the state of Rhode Island. Out of many 180 million being used to bail out a company held by a small man. Poor people's investment in their own shelter. And the man claims that that's just no big deal because the government don't bail out other entities with more money, billions of dollars. For him, look at 180 million is chicken feed. This is the abuse being dished out to the population, the 96%. We also get to understand that the land of Jamaica, this island that I asked in the original intro, who owns Jamaica? We understand now that the cockpit country is now up for sale or up for giveaway. The cockpit country is where we understand maybe 40% of the water supply of Jamaica comes from, and the Black River originates in that region, and six various rivers come out of the cockpit mountain region. We hear that now this is being put up to be given away. We hear that Goat Island is being hee-hawed out also. We hear that there are attempts to also divest, that is the word they use, the attractions that are part of our natural environment to alien forces in the name of money. And we have to begin as a people now to recognize and think carefully now about, I man person have to be thinking about this state that I am in, this state of Jamaica. It begins to feel like a ship that is rudderless. And when you compare a nation to a state, or a state to a ship usually must have a captain, a commander that directs the ship, and people who are help the captain to read the charts to define when to turn and when not to turn and what type of weather is coming, and should be surrounded by technicians who understand the profession. But the island that we are now looking at, we're kind of weary. And people are creating all type of language to describe the nature of the governance here. We even hear words like dictatorship being, bandied about as the nature of the governance. And when we look at Jamaica now coming out of this plantation and emancipation and getting the right to vote and then getting political independence, 52 years later, after that political independence was granted, of an island here now that is really governed by forces that are not grounded here. And the leadership is, at this moment, looking a bit wayward. But the leadership is not much different from the opposition because together they make the leadership. That is our understanding of government in Jamaica, this constitutional monarch that we have been given. And the freedom of the Jamaican people now, the abuse rather being dished to the Jamaican people will not really stop. Because we hear a minister now who claims that poor people don't know the Twitter and they're not articulate. And nobody should feel any way about it because that is the way it is. In other words, the Jamaican population is basically dunce. So this is what the leaders can get up and say, and it kind of driving home the point now that people are really on their own in Jamaica, groups and communities. And maybe at the political level now, we have to start thinking about secession. Maybe the confederation of Garvey and Nani and Taki and Bogle just become one. Just like how Western Jamaica organize themselves. Because there is no central leadership. Serious times we are in. Because we're not getting any responses as to who is really responsible for even the land that we live on. The lands are being sold and given away and nobody understands the terms of reference. The Chinese come and they build some highway and now they have a corridor that is described in Chinese language. Perhaps a city, a little China city, a big Chinatown being set up on the island here. We understand that the Goat Island thing is another situation where there are other lands that could be used. So, who owns Jamaica? Who is it that owns Jamaica? I'm asking that now as a citizen, as a resident. Who owns the land of Jamaica? Because there are beaches that the Jamaican people can't go to. There are beaches here that the natives cannot go on to because they're owned by private people. So who is it that owns Jamaica land that even certain I taking up certain situations, we are called squatters. So the Africans have become squatters after being emancipated. And they're alien other people who own the land. The church is one of the biggest landowners in Jamaica. And church and state work hand in hand. They control the land along with the wealthy minority groups, the 4%. So, upon the Jamaica land, the resurrection will have to come to a demand for land. Yeah, man, there can be no squatter if you're an African because you have paid your dues. But if you think about the thing serious, because we know Henry Morgan set up the place. We know that the governance came out of a Westminster model. and that model was all about extraction and exploitation, this truly is a land of pirates.
Come along, yeah, and dig my song. Too much wagonist, too much antagonist. Wolves and leopards are trying to kill the sheep and the shepherd. Yes, wolves and leopards are trying to kill the sheep and the shepherd. Yeah, too much informers, too much steel bearers, too much informers, too much steel bearers. Time to separate the sheep from the wolves. We're at the crossroads, and this is the time of decision. Too much informers, too much steel bearers, too much informers, too much steel bearers. Yeah.
The justice system on this rock here now has its own serious problems. In America, justice is defined by race. In America, race is first. And the white race controls America. And so they are privileged and protected by their laws that they create. On this rock called Jamaica now, the laws really are set up to created to protect the wealthy. That is the word we use. We're not going to say the white.